What is this? Aaron, I was just checking quality control. You bet.
Test 1 2.
I know.
Well, there's a motley crew. How are you? Well, I know you guys got up this early.
I don't.
Well, isn't she lucky? I figured you guys be here.
Oh, okay. This is her fiance.
Ah,
And his dad.
congratulations.
Willenborg. I'm the dad.
I bet we know what kind of coffee you'll have at your reception.
The market Folger should probably fly.
Yeah.
How many I can bring? Well, Nolan and Amy.
He's a marketer.
Well, she had good grandparents to name it after, right?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
I don't just be, I was nervous and I did it. Yeah. Yes. Either breakfast. Oh, they go get groceries during the day, so that there might have been wrong. Yeah. I know, of course, I feel like that's, it gets slow. It's like, oh, okay, we can leave, and then we leave, it's chaotic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or one was in the restroom. Yeah. Yeah. If it was early, then it would have been restroom. If it was like 10, then it would have been yeah. Try to. Never know. I'm glad to have her back. That's great.
They did have a sign. But it's not
I just wanted to see.
Had a certain kind of style. Yeah.
She always did it on purpose. Leave it alone. No, when I'm with her, she never tells her she did it. That's why.
Oh,
That's the only reason. I don't care if she was wrong or not.
So mine should be good, right?
I was not.
Like, she wanted to change the band, and that's fine. But she showed me pictures of she was in the group and was like, looking up at those horror guys and weird things around it and all this stuff.
So yeah, let me.
I was like, no, this is me. I knew you wanted. I didn't research it.
she's changing it, she's changing it already.
That's my side by side that I put on your hand as the body. So go through that. So my other thing, she never tells me
No,
that's not just a little bit.
no, I know. It's not. I find the same spot. Yeah. I have
That's the
two-
best way to do
I
it.
have two right
Yeah, I hear
here.
it.
Yeah. First way to do it. Put it down along I do the same thing with my underwear.
One, two, testing, check one, two. Check one, two, testing, check one, two. Mic two, check one, two. Mic two, check one, two.
of Cassie from our hometown. I'd heard of her. I grew up on a farm. I was the oldest of 5 kids. And what that really taught me was a lot about responsibility, accountability, seeing a job through. We lived in a world where you did the job yourself. You know, you relied on each other and yourself to see it through. She worked with another individual at C&B, and they were kind of like the core of the marketing department. She was the brains behind all of the language and the strategy and all that. And then Brian was the brains with the digital and the graphic, and together they were this amazing force.
I really lean into the research side of things. I really dove into understanding your competition, what the market segment is doing, and you kind of discount all that stuff when you're going to school, like, oh, I'm never gonna have to do this process is dumb. But then you get into the real world and you realize, like, hey, I have these skills.
They would come back from every event or everything that they worked on together, even Cassie still today. It's like, that was great, and we'll celebrate it for all of like 5 seconds with a little golf clap, but then it's like, what do we do better next time? How do we get better? And she'll have like 12 ideas of, here's what went great, but here's what we're gonna do next time.
We had an event we did a few years ago, and it was by Admiral William McRaven. He said, if you can't do the small things right, you'll never get the big things right.
Seek first to understand. She uses that a ton, and it's easy for a lot of us to jump to conclusions about why people did what they did, whether it's personally or professionally, and she reminds
"Oh, again, I'm not a rising star?" And I say, "Oh no, honey, you've aged out of that. That ship has sailed. You're in a whole new category now." And then he says, "Well, when are the TH Dying Nova Awards?" He's actually here today, so. You'll always be my supernova, baby. So Rising Stars is one of my favorite events because we get to tell the stories of people who are, as the name implies, are on the rise. You know, I feel like my generation was the first to really just start to talk about work-life balance. But when we mentioned that, we meant work and family. And I think it's this generation that looks at work and family, and that's not enough. They need to find room in their lives for volunteering, for giving back, for serving the greater good. And, you know, I think a lot of us find inspiration in our parents' generation as we look at all that they accomplished. But I'd like to say to the Rising Stars that I'm inspired by your generation. I see a lot of generosity and compassion and open-mindedness in this group, and that's really inspiring to me. We're proud to shine the spotlight today on the 2023 Rising Stars who are all those things and at the same time excel in their careers. We celebrate today in partnership with our sponsor for this event, Dubuque Bank and Trust. We're grateful for their support. And with that, I would like to bring up Stacy Hines. Stacy's the Wealth Advisory Services Market Leader and Senior VP at DB&T. Welcome, Stacy.
Thank you, Amy. Well, good morning again and welcome. This is such a wonderful room. Like Amy said, my name is Stacy Hines, and it's an honor to be here on behalf of DB&T. Thank you all for being here to help celebrate our 12 Rising Stars. Today is one of those mornings where we all sitting here get to be inspired by the Rising Stars ourselves to do more, to be more, and to look forward to our future of this community. As you can see and be inspired when you read their stories and hear their stories here today. As Amy stated, being chosen as a rising star means two things. One, you're excelling in your career path. And two, you're giving back your time, talent, and your treasure. For 88 years, DB&T has been Rising Star itself in giving back its talent, time, and treasure. It's time by donating over 1,000 community hours every year. It's talent by being on over 30 boards in the community, and it's treasure by donating over $1 million since 2016 to this community. To the chosen 12 Rising Stars being honored today, thank you for saying yes and doing more and being more. When asked to describe yourselves with one word, you used grateful, patient, determined, dedicated, dynamic, passionate, spirited, adaptable, curious, personable, ambitious, and integrous. Noticeably, this year, you all chose different words to describe yourselves, and yet they complement each other so very well. This illustrates just how important it is to surround yourself with people, perspectives, and experiences different from your own. These are the characteristics that helped you rise above and will continue to propel you forward in your future. You were inspired by your coworkers, by your mentors, and mostly by your family, with a couple shout outs to your special grandmothers. I challenge each of you today to take this all in, sit in it, and be grateful, be thankful for everyone that's helped you be where you are today, but more importantly, who you are today. We are here to celebrate and thank you. We are proud of you, and Dubuque Bank and Trust is honored and proud to serve as a sponsor with the TH at this event to help celebrate you. We appreciate all you've already accomplished and look forward to what you will accomplish in the future. Again, on behalf of DB&T, Congratulations on this well-deserved award. Keep making great things happen. Thank you.
I'm pleased to introduce our speaker today, Katie Thomas, the president and CEO of HonCamp PC, and a 2021 Rising Star herself. HonCamp is a CPA and business advisory group headquartered in Dubuque that recently was rated one of the top 10 CPA firms in the Midwest. Katie started with the firm as an intern in 2004. After graduating from Loras College and joining HonCamp full-time, she started advancing in the company, going on to become one of the firm's youngest partners. Then in 2020, she was named HonCamp's president, becoming the company's first female president and CEO at the beginning of this year. Way to go, Katie. Please welcome Katie Thomas.
Thank you, Amy. Good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all today on this beautiful morning to recognize our 12 very deserving rising stars. I'm honored to be your keynote speaker this morning, although I have to say I do identify with Amy's husband. And I'm a little depressed because I realized I can't be named a rising star anymore since I was in 2021, but I also no longer qualify because I turned the big 4-0 this year. But as Mark Twain once said, age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go with that. When the Telegraph Herald asked me to be the keynote speaker this morning, my first reaction was, of course. It's a very special opportunity for me to be here today because one of my own partners is being recognized. So I jumped at the opportunity. But as soon as I said yes, my next reaction was something I probably shouldn't repeat here today. I immediately started second-guessing my decision. What could I possibly have to say that the audience would want to listen to? So I started by looking up the definition of a rising star. As a former rising star myself, I had a pretty good idea of what the term meant, but I wanted the official definition. So according to Cambridge Dictionary, a rising star is a person who is likely to be successful. The definition seems simple, but it's really quite powerful. A person who is likely to be successful. You see, being a rising star, just like your age, is really a state of mind. It doesn't guarantee success. To me, a rising star means someone who's never satisfied with the status quo and someone who is always striving to be a better version of themselves. Since the definition of rising star included successful or success, I then looked up the definition of success. If you can't tell, I am a bit of a nerd, and the dictionary was actually my favorite book when I was little, but please don't tell anyone else that. According to the Oxford Dictionary, success is defined as the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. And despite my love for dictionaries, I have to say I disagree with Oxford on this one. Success isn't a destination that ends with any one single accomplishment. It's a journey and something that is continually earned. I'm fortunate each day to get up and go to a job that I love. Most days, I wonder how I got here and how it happened in the blink of an eye, just like my children are growing up. But I also think each and every day that even though I am now the CEO of a growing and dynamic organization, at the top position in that organization, I have not yet achieved success. There is always some way that I can continue to improve myself and those around me. And I see that same mindset reflected in our honorees today. As I was preparing for today, I researched the qualities of a rising star. And according to smallbusinessceo.com, there are 8 qualities that every rising star should have. As I looked through the stories of our 12 rising stars today, I see many of those qualities embodied in each one of them. The first quality of every rising star is effective communication. Effective communication is one of the most important skills for a leader. It means to communicate clearly and completely, but also to meet others where they are at and communicate in the way they need to be communicated to. When you are a leader, you need to tailor your communication to the recipient. 2 of our rising stars today have excelled at effective communication. As a supervisor of the Dubuque Police Department's crisis negotiation team, Rick Fulmer must be a very effective communicator. Clarity and communication on the level of the recipient is key to resolving stressful situations. And Kevin Myers, nominator from Kunkel & Associates, says that Kevin prioritizes open communication, seeks input from team members, and encourages diverse perspectives. The second quality is humility. No matter how successful a leader is or how many rungs they've climbed on the ladder, they must be humble to truly lead. Humility means that you recognize that you aren't perfect. You are a work in progress like everyone else, and you must continue to grow. Two more of our rising stars have shown us that they are great examples of humble leaders. Kevin Fink's philosophy at DB&T is a great example of humility. He believes that you don't need a leadership title at work to be a leader. You just set that example. And Nate Harold is another great example of a leader with humility. He often gets out of his office and walks around a local park with his colleagues as a way of connecting with them. And his ability to connect with others has been a critical part of Med1's growth. The third quality is frank curiosity. As a leader, although sometimes you're expected to, you don't know it all and you never will. A key part of being a leader is to never lose your curiosity and your desire to learn. Rising star Cassie Herrig is a leader who embodies frank curiosity. At Cottingham and Butler, Cassie has a commitment to continuous improvement, and her mantra is, how can we do better next time? She's always striving to learn from her past experiences. The fourth quality is fierce organization. Although this is a necessary skill, for many leaders, this is a challenge. Often for many leaders with other important qualities on this list, organization does not come easily. Organization is the domain of the left brain. While a Harvard study of 13,000 executives found that those surveyed credited 80% of their success to right-brained intuition. Nevertheless, with many irons in the fire, organization is critical for leaders. Managing a fleet of 10 ambulances and more than 60 employees in 3 states is no small task, and organization is paramount, pardon the pun. And Andy Nye has shown that he is a master of fierce organization. The fifth quality is courage under pressure. Being a leader is challenging in good times, and even more so in difficult times. We have all faced ups and downs in our careers, but the sign of a true leader is how you have courage under pressure. People look to their leaders in times of trial, and it's crucial that leaders remain courageous. It's how you act when times are tough that shows what you're really made of. Two of our rising stars today have shown incredible courage under pressure. Selu Arayal had a chance to shine during the pandemic. She became a subject matter expert on the Paycheck Protection Program in a matter of days, and her dedication in a time of uncertainty allowed DuPaco to help 654 businesses to keep their doors open and continue operating during COVID-19. Similarly, Jack Mesher also showed courage under pressure during the pandemic, as he guided Hills and Dales through regulations that didn't contemplate their population, as well as implementing the federal vaccine mandate alongside the worst job crisis in healthcare in a century. The sixth quality is ability and willingness to adapt. And leadership today, change is a constant, and being able and willing to adapt sets great leaders apart from the rest. There's an adage in business that says what got you here won't get you there. And 3 of our rising stars have shown that they're willing and able to adapt to their ever-changing environments. Erin Powers Daly has shown her adaptability by wearing many leadership hats at NICC and shifting her roles and responsibilities into her current role as Director of Student and Community Development. Arancha Martinez Resendez has adapted and grown at her role in the University of Dubuque, where she first became a student after moving to Dubuque from Mexico. She has embraced her new community and has taken an active role in many local organizations. And Sarah Knabel adapted when her corporate position was ended during COVID-19, and she started her own business, Bob & Lou's. She continues to adapt and has grown the business from a vintage mobile camper to include a brick and mortar storefront, as well as a custom coffee camper. Number 7 is internal motivation. No one person is motivated by the same things. Some are motivated by external things, money, recognition, or awards. Others are motivated by internal or intrinsic factors. And studies have shown that those who lead from internal motivation outperform those who lead from external motivations. These types of internally motivated leaders often have a passion that is contagious. They inspire others and foster an environment of both high performance and high job satisfaction. Renee Hesselman is a great example of an internally motivated leader. When Renee joined HonCamp as an intern, she knew it was where she belonged. She was inspired by others there to work hard and to give back to her community. And now as a shareholder, she inspires others to work hard and give back to their community. Her motivation and passion are palpable to anyone who meets her. The last of these 8 qualities is self-confidence, and apart from organization, it might be one of the most difficult to master. Self-confidence should not be confused with arrogance. It doesn't mean that you think you're better than others. It means that you believe in yourself and your abilities. You know your strengths and weaknesses, and you have a positive view of yourself. Despite their tangible successes, I can't tell you if our 12 rising stars have self-confidence, but if they don't, they certainly should. What I can tell you is from my own perspective, this is one of the good things about being over 40. It's actually a scientific fact. A Harvard medical study showed that a person's confidence typically peaks during middle age. So at least that's something we have to look forward to. In closing, I want to congratulate all of our 2023 rising stars. You have shown that you have what it takes to be a leader, and you have made immeasurable impacts on your organization. When you leave here today, I encourage you to think about the 8 qualities I just described. Keep them in mind as you continue to lead, and think about how you can help others around you continually improve and grow as well. You have all accomplished so much already, but remember that success doesn't end with one single achievement. I hope you continue to shine and share your talents to make the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I'd like to make some quick introductions of some of our staffers who are here today, folks from the Telegraph Herald, TH Media, Woodward Communications. You can hold your applause, but so the way we present these awards, the way we'll introduce you to these rising stars is through videos that our staff has created. And Tom Eckerman, guy in the back who's running the live stream today, is the one who created those videos, so you'll see his work shortly here. Tom's helped back there by Matt Connolly, who's our interactive and database director. Jody Dodd is in the back. She's our events coordinator who organizes this and many other TH events. And let's see, our president and CEO, Tom Woodward, our managing editor, Allie Hinga's with us today. And from our hardworking advertising and sales team, we have Tricia Nelson, Wendy Vosberg, Chuck Spielman, Andy Commence, and our retail manager, Luke Rodham. So I get everybody? Okay, that's our crew. Thanks. And then I'd like to recognize any former rising stars. So going back to 2003, any other rising stars that happen to be in the room, please stand. And I'd also want to thank the committee that made this year's Rising Stars selections. On that committee is Stacy Hines, Anderson Sansi, Jody Stricker, Bob Woodward, our publisher, and Mike Fortman, our associate publisher, who's away on business today and couldn't be here. But thank you for these outstanding picks. So with that, we're going to get ready here to begin honoring, and we'll begin with our first Rising Star honoree, and you can turn your attention to the video screen. Our first honoree is Seilu Ariel of DePaco.
Seilu is one of a kind in so many amazing ways.
I don't know, as soon as I turn on 9th Street in the morning, you know what, I just feel like I know I'm going to a happy place.
Sincere, genuine.
And when I'm happy, it's my attitude, it's just my being there, right? But I just feel like that vibe carries on. Kindness is contagious.
Vulnerable, and she puts herself out there to connect with you.
There's this ripple effect of happiness and kindness, and all these good emotions have a ripple effect.
At a very young age, made the decision to travel from Kathmandu to Dubuque to attend Morse College.
My first language is Nepali. I am originally from Kathmandu, capital city of Nepal. Something that my mom always said, हामीले कोशिश गर्यो भने गर्न नसकिने केही छैन. There is nothing we cannot do if we try. And I love that.
She was instrumental in Dupaco delivering our payroll protection program that the government had issued back in COVID, so back in 2020. Selu, in her leadership and her ability to connect with people, was able to quickly become a subject matter expert, pull cross-functional teams together, and deliver on that for our members. We were able to issue over $30 million in loans to our small businesses, over 650 small businesses served. When she was the keynote speaker at the Loris Center of Diversity and Inclusion, explained to the students that it's about having grace, it's about having a positive mindset, it's about having hope and faith, coupling that with your values, you can get through anything.
There's a reason that I feel very strongly about time, especially right now. And when I say that, it's because I recently lost a family member, and my cousin, actually, untimely, unexpectedly, and for some reason, that was just a good reminder that we don't know how much time we have. So I feel like in the time that we do have, things such as being grateful and thankful and helping and just all of these good things are so important. I want to be remembered as that girl who always laughed loudly. I love laughing loudly. I always laugh loudly. And who was kind. And, hopefully I made an impact in a positive way somehow, somewhere.
Please join me in congratulating Selu Ariel. Come on up. Come on up. Dry your tears. You can do a lap around the whole place, girl. Do your thing. Laugh loud. Our next rising star is Kevin Finke of Dubuque Bank and Trust.
Kevin is the guy that comes to work every day with, $100, $200 haircut, the perfect clothes, dressed the best. I kind of knew when I graduated college that I wanted to go into commercial banking. And I think when you become a commercial banker and you're able to offer so many different products and services, you work with so many different businesses. And it's also a career path that allows you a lot of opportunities to grow within the company that you're working with.
There's two things that stand out to me for Kevin. One, he's very hardworking. That shows up at work when he is working the full day, then goes home, sees his family, and then still has the energy to hit the gym and then continue to work more into the night.
Success has always been what inspires me, to be able to work my way kind of up the ladder, in commercial banking has just been really rewarding. And I think when you have your visions and your goals kind of align with your company's goals, it just makes it all much more easier.
Kevin really cares about people.
To focus on our existing clients and really deepen those relationships with them, I think, we have been, especially this year, in kind of an economic uncharted territory, and it's really working with those clients to kind of come up with new strategies and show that we truly are a partner with them and not just another financial institution.
One of my favorite books is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And the concept of that book is small incremental changes that you make today and tomorrow just compound exponentially in your life and in the lives of those around you. And I think those attributes of Kevin, where he's putting in that extra time both for his team again and for the clients that he works with in the community, he does that every single day.
You have clients that are still looking, seeing these rates that were, 3%, 4%, which that was the market that we were in at that time, but deposits were, 0%. Now we're starting to see that adjustment where our interest rates on loans and stuff are sitting at, 8+%. We have prime currently at 8.5% with the recent, interest rate hike again. But we're looking to, we're paying on deposit rates now. And it's one of those things we're having, I think now we're kind of seeing clients that maybe want the best of both worlds. And we need to make sure that it makes sense not only for them, but as well as for the bank.
Congratulations to Kevin Finke. Next, we'll recognize Rick Fulmer from the Dubuque Police Department.
Be inquisitive, be curious. The best officers succeed because of that, and Rick is one of those that does that well. Being curious, being just inquisitive about all things different, and then looking at how he can apply that.
When you're training somebody, you're teaching them, and you see that light bulb moment, right? You see when they get it, and all of a sudden, you have a partner now instead of somebody that you're training, right? Because they're doing things to a level higher than what you were doing them, and you start to learn things from them.
For a small enough department, you start hearing things about people, and you start here's a guy that kind of, gets it. Where we really started crossing paths is when we started getting into the emotional intelligence training.
I think the critical thing for us is, in law enforcement, recognizing when, you're sort of emotionally hijacked, but then when you see it in somebody else, right? We always talk about, I've got your six, I've got your back. Well, that means I'm not gonna let you do anything stupid. I'm not gonna let you do anything that you're gonna regret.
Saw the future, knows that this is the right thing to do.
I have a responsibility, to look out for the people that I'm working with. Especially as a supervisor, you're just as responsible, for their actions as they are.
As we presented this even in our own world and how we were trying to get, buy-in within the department, it was kind of like, okay, that's just Rick coming with this idea again, but he stayed the course with it.
And it's not always about being nice or kind either, right? It's about being intentional and purposeful in your decision making, so that way you experience less regret. Do the right things for the right reasons.
In our field, that was a big thing.
Using that consequential thinking to figure out, okay, I'm headed down this path, where's this gonna lead? Where's this gonna end up?
Saw the future, knows that this is the right thing to do.
And if you can sort of forecast and have some foresight to look at, what's going to be the result here, and if you don't like it, then make a change. Do something differently. Don't continue, doing something that you're going to regret in the end.
It was not popular in law enforcement.
It's easier said than done, right? So in the moment, I think if you just stop for just half a second and give yourself a chance to think before you respond, and then, like I said, you're more intentional and less reactional. That takes practice. It's always my favorite, seeing the group, at the beginning, and then, watching them throughout, watching them grow. That is a source of inspiration. It makes you want to, it makes you better. If you want to accomplish anything, teach somebody else how to do what it is that you are doing.
A quick shout out to A Frame of Mind, who framed up these articles beautifully for us today, so for our award winners. This next one's special to me because he happens to be married to my niece, and I consider him my nephew. Next up, we have Nate Harold from MedOne.
Nate predated me at MedOne. Nate was one of the first employees to join the MedOne team, so I guess you could say he's somewhat of a calculated risk taker.
At a younger age where I was looking at going into ministry, I made a pivot halfway kind of through my education and decided to go into the practice of pharmacy.
When people have problems or questions or something that they can't figure out, they turn to Nate. And I do as well, routinely.
I've always had a natural responsibility, or felt a natural responsibility to support the people around me.
He has a knack for seeing all the angles. He has a knack for connecting the dots, but he doesn't do it. He helps others connect the dots so that way they can understand and then they're ready to tackle that next challenge. And so I think his problem-solving ability is one of the things that sets him apart.
I took a shift in my career from working in emergency medicine early on to what's now population health and managed care. Part of that was because you can make an impact on a much greater population and a much greater scale. And the problems that we face as a society in accessing healthcare are very different problems than you face when you're working with an individual patient in an emergency department.
Around the time the opioid epidemic took center stage in the country, we challenged Nate, said, hey Nate, we need to be in front of our clients with a solution to this problem to make sure that this isn't occurring on their benefit plan.
There's two clinical programs that I helped design here at MedOne that we launched early on in my time, dating back to 2014, 2015. One is related to managing the use of opioid narcotic products called Opioid Care Path, and it's really a risk stratification and then a mitigation program. We identify risk across 5 different parameters, and when they deviate and they start showing behaviors which could indicate abuse and addiction, then we can intervene more quickly to make sure that we change that dynamic so that that patient isn't causing harm to themselves, harm to their family, harm to their community.
When you look at a job description, you think of the other duties that's assigned. A lot of what Nate does falls in that category. Again, he is not only our clinical leader, but he is also one of our best sales and account management tools. When he's in front of clients, the amount of insight that he can deliver in an engaging way that people understand, it's just it just adds so much to our meetings and to our service that we deliver. I wouldn't have wanted to be on this journey without being here with Nate.
Our next rising star is Cassie Herrig of Cottingham and Butler.
I knew of Cassie from our hometown. I'd heard of her. I grew up on a farm. I was the oldest of 5 kids. And what that really taught me was a lot about responsibility, accountability, seeing a job through. We lived in a world where you did the job yourself. You know, you relied on each other and yourself to see it through. She worked with another individual at C&B, and they were kind of like the core of the marketing department. She was the brains behind all of the language and the strategy and all that. And then Brian was the brains with the digital and the graphic, and together they were this amazing force.
I really lean into the research side of things. I really dove into understanding your competition, what the market segment is doing, and you kind of discount all that stuff when you're going to school, like, oh, I'm never gonna have to do this process is dumb. But then you get into the real world and you realize, like, hey, I have these skills.
They would come back from every event or everything that they worked on together, even Cassie still today. It's like, that was great, and we'll celebrate it for all of like 5 seconds with a little golf clap, but then it's like, what do we do better next time? How do we get better? And she'll have like 12 ideas of here's what went great, but here's what we're going to do next time.
We had an event we did a few years ago, and it was by Admiral William McRaven. He said, if you can't do the small things right, you'll never get the big things right.
Seek first to understand. She uses that a ton, and it's easy for a lot of us to jump to conclusions about why people did what they did, whether it's personally or professionally, and she reminds me of that often.
So I was a young mother. I was in college when I had my firstborn, and that was a huge motivator for me of like providing for her, and I was never gonna let her down. You know, the best piece of advice I got during that time was, don't be afraid to ask for help.
She's a mom of 5 and a great wife, and I think she brings a lot of that to work too, about caring about other people and really driven to see them develop and grow in their careers as well.
Our family was incredible. We had really strong family support, people who maybe weren't always thrilled with the situation, but were there for you. They loved you unconditionally and were willing to do whatever it took to help you through it.
If we have a group of people interested in something, how do we get them more interested? How do we drip more information? So some of it is a little bit more metrics driven, but I will tell you, she cares a lot about other people, a lot. And so I would tell you a lot of the intangibles too are the difference that she makes in other people's lives.
Fast forward 5 kids later, you know, we're living this crazy life, and everyone's like, how do you do it? How do you work? How do you maintain the family? And it's all your mindset, you know, but it started with those early years of like, when you're really struggling, you gotta get the right mindset, and you gotta find the right people to connect to and not be afraid to ask for help.
Congratulations to Cassie Herrig. Our next Rising Stars Award winner is Renee Hesselman of Honcamp.
Renee and I actually met in high school. We graduated from Hempstead in the same year.
I took my first high school accounting class, and I really enjoyed it. And it wasn't until I got into college and declared my major as an accounting major that my parents told me that my high school accounting professor said that was my path.
When we were in college together, she was able to fit 150 credit hours into 4 years, which is an enormous feat. It took me 5. But I think that's kind of characterized her whole time at Honcamp. She's always been a very hard worker. She'll stay until the job gets done. And she always puts her clients and her staff first.
My parents inspired me. My mom and dad never had an opportunity to attend college, and I'm an only child, and so being able to knock those achievements off that they were proud of, college, full-time job, path to partner, those were all things that mean the world to my mom and dad.
She always takes time to talk to people, and she's very friendly and well-liked around the building. She also is very passionate about her charitable causes. I know that she has been on the Our Lady of Guadalupe board for several years, and she has also been very involved in Four Mounds, I think for 15 years now.
I have been on the board at Four Mounds organization for the last 15 years. Our core programming was working with disconnected high school students, helping them work with a trade, and spending a half a day on our job sites, learning construction. And we, in the last 24 months with some really great employees and partners, have been able to open this up to an adult population.
She is just full of energy, and she manages 3 kids and her very demanding career and her volunteer work, and makes it look like it's a breeze.
I just enjoyed the type of work. Accounting isn't math, it's theory, it's problem solving, it's how to fix things, help people, and use the tools that you have to your best ability to get the best outcomes, and I think I enjoyed that.
She always goes above and beyond for her clients and for her staff, and does whatever she can to make their lives better.
Typical accountants aren't people that are necessarily looked at to be outgoing, building relationships, those sort of things. And as I mastered the technical skills, my human nature of wanting to help people, care, try to solve problems, have led me from going from an intern here at Honcamp Kruger 20 years ago to a partner today.
She has 3 kids, and she juggles that.
And now as a parent of 3 small young children, not only the work I do at Honcamp here, but the work I do with Four Mounds, where we work with children that are disengaged from education and likely to drop out, I'm able to combine my 2 worlds into things I'm passionate about. Use the skills that you have to give back, whether it's something you're passionate about, whether it's something in your career, is driving you to find ways to give to other people, and we all benefit. Work hard, have your heart and soul in it, and put your energy to it, and don't ever let anybody tell you no.
Congratulations to Renee Hesselman. Our next rising star is Sarah Knobel of Bob and Lou's Coffee.
I used to have a note on the refrigerator that used to say, the energy that makes your child unmanageable today is the same energy that will one day help them manage their life. And that has always held true for her. She was a high-spirited, high-energetic little girl, and she still is.
Growing up, I feel like I was always the troublemaker of my parents' 3 kids.
Sarah's always had an energy about her. From the time she was a toddler, you knew Sarah was in the room.
When the first bank had told me no, I obviously was very upset. A few tears were probably shed. I kind of felt down on myself too, almost like, okay, I should just give up, wait, get another job in marketing or something in Dubuque, and go back into the corporate. And my parents had always said, you never take no for an answer from us, so you need to go back to the drawing boards.
She's a really great influence on young women and young girls and kind of achieving their goals and dreams.
Even with Bob and Lou's, I've grown up a lot and really become more confident in myself and also confident in other people and telling them that you can make whatever you want in your life happen as long as you just keep pushing and doing it and working hard.
She's always had a vision for what she wanted to do, and we just try to support her, and she went for it. And people really look up to her and admire, and what she's grown as a community, to me, is really impressive.
It was actually my sister's idea when I had originally been researching and finding buildings in Dubuque. I was 22. It was just not feasible for me to have the money to do this with student loans and other debts. And she had called me. She was at a farmer's market in Philadelphia, and there was a young woman who, I think she was in like a mini bus, and she's like, well, why don't you go into a mobile unit and get your name out there? You don't have the overhead. You can make sure you're enjoying it before you buy a building. Yeah, started with the mobile coffee camper and now have a brick and mortar walk-up shop, and here we are today, and we just celebrated our 3-year anniversary.
Work hard and be nice, and that's basically it in life. You work hard to achieve your dreams, you be nice to people at all times, you be humble, and I think that's what she's done well.
Right now, I am focusing on potentially buying my own building and having a bigger establishment for Bob and Lou's.
She does everything. She's always so bubbly and happy about everything. She's so good on social media. She's always good on top of everything. She's the best boss I've ever had.
Congratulations to Sarah Knobel. Our next rising star is Arancha Martinez Resendez of
Erin's strengths definitely are her innovative mind and her strategic thinking, and we capitalized on that many times throughout our planning processes here at the college.
We were able to develop a program that provided not only childcare during the training program, we were actually planning the Dubuque Latinx Fiesta, and I remember her. She walked in and I thought, oh, who is this person? She seems very quiet. I don't know if she would be a good fit. but boy, did she surprise me.
I was born and raised in Mexico. My mom is a union leader in Mexico. She would always tell me, todos tenemos un don, solo es el momento de cómo lo vas a usar en el futuro. She was set up and she ended up being in jail for almost a week. And it was just kind of a tough process to go through. I was only, I think at the time I was 12, and she showed that sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself in order to protect the minority. She wanted to go ahead and chase a dream, and that's when my dad came in. He was the one that was at the recitals, picking up grades, taking me to places. And so I see both sides. I see my side of the female power, but I also see my dad being my stone.
She is the type of person that is very humble. She will do the work that needs to be done quietly, but effectively.
I started with the Human Society. I wasn't there for that long. I do have a rescue dog, so that's what sparked me into starting volunteering in the community.
When it comes to Spanish translation, she is always the first one to volunteer.
Like right now, I'm better than I used to be. In the beginning, it was rough. I remember being with my tennis teammates. Sometimes they would speak to me, and there were times that I didn't understand, and I was just smiling and nodding. It was very hard. I was ready to leave my first month.
I think that adds so much richness to every organization that she touches.
Once I graduated, I started realizing that there's more out there and that you need to explore to find the beauty of Dubuque. And that's when I started volunteering. That's when I started being in the YP, like the Young Professionals board. Dubuque Unidos is a group of 14 young professionals. It all started with Yara Lopez. So Yara Lopez was the one that created the first Dubuque Latin Fiesta here in Dubuque. We decided to go bigger, not just for the fiesta, but create a nonprofit organization. Now it's Dubuque Unidos. We go through LULAC chapter to be a support system for the community, not only for the Dubuque community, but for the Latino people. What we can all do is be supportive, understanding, open-minded, and receptive to change. Not everything is black and white. There's a whole color spectrum that we need to look at.
Her ideas are innovating these organizations to do better, to have open minds, to do more volunteer work, but also to get to know others like her who might come as international students or as immigrants, and they're making a change here.
Congratulations to Arancha Martinez Resendez. Next up, we have Jack Mesher of Hills and Dales.
If we didn't have role models that we looked up to growing up, would we have made the same impact that we make today?
I think looking back in life, there's a tremendous amount of influences and people who've shared their wisdom and talents informing me. Their advice and their kindness and generosity throughout my life, starting at a young age to now, has allowed me to respond to their wisdom and learn.
That's what we're here doing, sharing the beautiful stories of how we've made different impacts in different ways, and we can use those best practices that others are using and take them back to our own areas for better success.
I was supporting a young man with autism in the Des Moines area, and he was my first kind of introduction to autism or children with a different need, and we were working together on opening a can of peace. We worked for about 9 months and at the goal of opening a can of peace. And so I think the amount of time and dedication that we both put in and day out into obtaining this skill was quite extensive, and you often wondered why We were still going at this without much success, so you might have questioned if this is absurd. But then there was a day that the young man opened the can of peas, and I think the whole heavens opened up, and it was just a wonderful moment, and it was celebration, and it was the first step for him in now preparing a meal.
He soaks up all of the knowledge around him and processes it in such a unique and beautiful way.
The can of peas is like a microcosm example of the little breakthroughs that happen every day at Hills and Dales, but it's not without a bunch of work, a bunch of stress, and a bunch of really dedicated team members, and the cooperation and willingness of the client to just continue to try.
With Jack's servant leadership style, and especially his humility, he's kept me grounded over the years. He's kept other people in his life grounded.
Perhaps there's a reflex of gratitude that is developed by being exposed to people who've really struggled and really overcome their struggles, and that really can be very motivating and provide a lot of context to any stress that I might face, which is pretty nominal relative to a lot of people. It's very much a two-way street, and you struggle together. You know, you can have bad days together, but you also, when you have breakthroughs, you celebrate hard, you know, and you really understand each other probably in an effable way, you know, at a much deeper level when you're able to share those joys together.
Congratulations to Jack Mesher. Our next rising star is Kevin Myers of Kunkel and Associates.
Kevin Myers inspires me every single day. I wake up excited to come to work, and part of that is because I get to work with people just like Kevin.
I still remember Kim Buddy popping in my LinkedIn inbox February 24th, 2015.
Every year on the anniversary of the date I sent him that email, he reaches out to me and thanks us every time for the opportunity and for changing his life. I feel very blessed, and we feel very lucky to have him here. We gained a very awesome colleague and an even better friend that day.
Reading people, understanding people, how different people tick, and what's important to those, whether, again, it's on the sales side and, you know, what makes them, you know, who they are as a buyer, you know, but the relationship piece there, you have to really understand who is across the table from you. And I also manage or run our internship program here at Kunkel. I've been doing that the last 3 years.
He understands it, he embraces it, and he wants and encourages other people to be a part of it. Which is why it only made sense for him to work with our HR team to develop a sales internship program that fast tracks the way we recruit sales producers.
We got to get people here first, and then, you know, we'll help you get out and run. I want people to run fast and help them do that.
He loves to bring the groups together in after-hours activities. So if there's a softball game going on, people want to get together for a barbecue, let's hang out on the river, anything that just builds and continues to help foster the culture that we have here at Kunkel. Kevin's Mr. Social. He's going to be the guy that's going to organize it for us and make it a blast.
Well, usually the next day, I probably have a headache, but the next day after meeting Kevin, he just gives you so much light, so much energy to bring into your workplace the next day.
My wife, Stephanie, she's a huge motivation for me. She's, you know, definitely right there next to me in terms of a leader within her organization and within the community. And then I have a couple of kids as well that, you know, that's just totally shifted my mindset the last couple of years. I have a 3-year-old son named Gage and a 2-year-old son named Will. Everything I'm doing now is, you know, important to help set them up for success, you know, down the road. We get invited to do a lot of fun things because we say yes. You know, go to that conference, take that trip, go visit those prospects, get in the car, go. If there's a, you know, company function going on or a group going for happy hour, say yes, go do it, because, you know, the more people you interact with, the better you get to know people. You get to share your story, you get to hear and understand their stories, and it's just going to help you grow.
Congratulations to Kevin Myers. Our next rising star is Andy Nye of Paramount.
Andy does a lot of inward thinking. He's very much a planner.
I did the EMT course out at NICC when I was a senior in high school with my twin sister.
Very determined when he sees something. I mean, I saw that when he was in motocross. I mean, he started out where he was always last place, always falling. And my husband had taken him to a training camp down in Georgia. And once he came back from that training camp, this was when he was only like 12 or 13 years old, and he started winning, and the confidence just kept building. And to see that determination that I'm going to be a winner, my goal is to hit that podium to be in first place. I think that's carried on into his adult life, that he's more determined than anybody that I've ever seen.
I was 10 years old. I remember being at the dinner table when my dad brought home a dictionary and had the word Paramount highlighted. And it was something that we were like, Dad, what are you doing reading the dictionary? You know, and he said it's going to be the name of our ambulance company. And my mom, who was a nurse by trade, kind of freaked out and was like, our what?
I always felt Andy had a good heart, and I could always have pictured him in healthcare. And I had even suggested he look into becoming a doctor.
My parents were doing, we're in two different careers. One was in logistics with trucking, and the other one was a nurse, taking care of people. I think that was a big thing that I always kept in the back of my mind, because I honestly enjoy the logistics part of transportation, but I also have a huge passion of taking care of people. With that foreshadowing of healthcare and transport, you put it together and it's an ambulance.
The one thing that we really instilled in our children growing up, and they would probably tell you this too, is respect. You have to respect everyone. You have to respect your employees, because they are out there doing the hard work, they're doing the hands-on care. You don't want to ever belittle them. You want to make sure that they're on the same level as you. Don't talk down to them. And he's very good at that.
One of the biggest things that was a turning point for me in my career was in 2017, I assisted a team, a special response team that went down to the U.S. Virgin Islands after 2 Category 5 hurricanes destroyed most of the island. So I went down there for 30 days to work on an ambulance. And we were taking care of patients. We were in some of the worst places you'd ever see, but it was something that really humbled me and made me want to do more. So when I came back from that experience, that's when I joined the Iowa EMS Association board.
I think he started out there with the volunteer, and then he got voted in as treasurer, and then just recently, within the past year, got voted to be the president. I thought, wow, you're really moving up fast in that organization. And for them to say that he's the youngest one that they've ever had in that position, I mean, to have him as all his accomplishments that he's had at the age of 30, I'm like, wow, where are you going to be when you're 40?
Congratulations to Andy Nye. And finally, that brings us to Aaron Powers Daly of Northeast Iowa Community College.
Erin's strengths definitely are her innovative mind and her strategic thinking, and we capitalized on that many times throughout our planning processes here at the college.
We were able to develop a program that provided not only childcare during the training program, but for up to 1 year afterwards. And so we collectively worked together to get that childcare funded. And then we also connected them with the State of Iowa Department of Human Services Childcare Block grant that can help them fund their childcare.
The reach that Erin has with serving students is from the Decorah area all the way down to the Dubuque area. That's the NACC Service District, and within that area we serve 25 high schools. And so we have college and career coaches that are embedded in all of those high schools, which is part of our success model. And Erin is a lead on the success model here in the Dubuque area within our Opportunity Dubuque program, as well as embedding that in our high schools with work-based learning opportunities.
I was a first-generation college student myself, so I know how incredibly confusing and frankly intimidating it can be to walk into an educational institution, and I don't want a student to ever feel like they can't do something.
The only way that programs like Opportunity Dubuque and our partnership writ large with Northeast Iowa Community College works is if we can trust the partner on the other side of the table, and Erin is one of those trusted partners. We can push them to deliver great things for our employers, and when they do deliver, we always come back for more.
I started my career as a professional after graduating, working with chemically addicted adolescents. That was life-changing for me. I had the opportunity to really learn and grow, also see kids going through a lot, and that really launched me into wanting to do more from a community perspective.
She's an athlete, takes health and wellness very seriously, runs marathons and crazy distances that I can't even imagine.
I think it was during COVID. She ran a marathon on her treadmill.
You have good runs and you have bad runs, just like you have good days and you have bad days, but at the end of the year or the end of your cycle, what efforts did you put in, and then what are your outputs when you're getting that? And you just start over again. Every single day you get an opportunity to start over again.
She was passionate about bringing health and wellness to the college. So she leads our Brain Health Initiative.
There's gonna be hard days, and so how are you taking care of yourself? What are your hobbies? What are you doing outside of your work environment that's going to help you decompress at the end of the day?
She's been instrumental in getting some grant funding to help offer those trainings through Brain Health Now, Mental Health and Disability Services of East Central Iowa.
We have to care a whole awful lot. It has to be something that's bigger than ourselves. And so when I look back, every single day, did I do something that was bigger than myself?
Congratulations to Erin Powers Daly. Thanks everybody for taking time out today to come here and honor these young people. There's some great things, great initiatives going on in the Dubuque area, and with this group of young leaders taking us into the years ahead, I think there's really a lot to look forward to. Plus, we're getting a Noodles and Company. And yes, that was the most read thing on our website like in a year, so apparently we're really into noodles. Thank you to Keith and his staff here at the Diamond Joe for their outstanding service and food today. And on behalf of BizTimes.biz, TH Media, and our sponsor DBNT, thank you to all of you for all you do in the community, because I know that if you're here today to support these rising stars, it's likely you're cut of the same cloth. So thank you for being here and have a great day. And I'll ask our rising stars to come up here for a group picture real quick. So thank you.